Welcome back, y'all, to Bit by Bit, episode 7. You see, I got a new mic because I seen niggas complaining in the comments.
Y'all keep getting on his ass every time he do anything.
Spinning in the chair, new mic.
Yeah, rocking in that chair, new mic.
And somebody said turn the gain down on the mic.
RNs don't be knowing.
Yeah, we don't know. Let me even turn it down now.
We don't be knowing, y'all. Y'all gotta help us. If y'all have recommendations about like mics and stuff, send us an Amazon link or something.
Yeah, okay, y'all need to get this mic, but you know, he still got the same glow up mic and shit, but we got a new one on the way, so don't worry about his mic. Don't say nothing.
Bro got a new mic and start shitting on me.
Nah, no cap.
All right, go off.
But yeah, so I know everybody's seen the news. Strategic Reserve was approved. And I guess I'll just read the tweet. And the Bitcoin price is 88,000. I ain't gonna read the full tweet. You can go look at that by yourself, but
we'll put it right here in the middle.
Yeah, we'll put it up. But basically what they did, me and him both read it, but basically what they did is...
Wait, read the first half of that tweet and then we'll explain it.
Okay, so this is David Sachs. So he said, just a few minutes ago, President Trump signed an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin owned by the federal government that was forfeited as a part of the criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. This means it'll cost nothing to the taxpayers. It is estimated that the U.S. government owns about 200,000 Bitcoin. However, there has never been a complete audit. The EO directs a full accounting of the federal government's digital asset holdings. The U.S. will not sell any Bitcoin deposited into the reserve. It will be kept as a store of value. The reserve is like a digital Fort Knox for the cryptocurrency, often called digital gold. Premature sales of Bitcoin have already cost the U.S. taxpayers over $17 billion in lost value. Now the federal government will have a strategy to maximize the value of its holdings. The Secretary of Treasury and Commerce are authorized to develop budget-neutral strategies for acquiring additional Bitcoin, provided that those strategies have no incremental cost on American taxpayer. So that's the Bitcoin part of it. I went ahead and read the whole thing, but do you want me to read the...
No, we'll talk about that part first.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, if you didn't really understand that part, so originally when Trump had made that tweet, he had put out like a shitcoin reserve and then kind of like just throw in Bitcoin and ETH on top of there. So I think a lot of people were thinking that it was going to be Bitcoin, ETH, shitcoins all in one. Like,
wait, why do you say Bitcoin, ETH, and then shitcoins when ETH is a shitcoin?
True.
So it's Bitcoin
shitcoins, yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin shitcoin.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of people, even I was thinking, I'm like, damn, he had everybody riled up. He said all this shit at the Bitcoin conference, and then now you're making a reserve full of shitcoins and tying it into Bitcoin. So
yeah, it almost seemed like it was going to derail the purpose of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. So basically, you know, what bro just read, what that said was that there's estimated about 200,000 Bitcoin that the federal government has, and most of that Bitcoin has come from
seizures.
Yeah, like, you know, them taking it from criminals like Silk Road or whatever. So they have around 200,000 Bitcoin. So y'all can do the math at 88,000 with how much that's worth. But what I like to point out on why this is even good for Bitcoin, because you know when this got announced, the price of Bitcoin dropped like maybe 4 or 5K. But why this is good for Bitcoin is because traditionally, when the federal government seizes Bitcoin, they sell it off into the market. Yep. So there's been estimates that like 197,000 Bitcoin have been sold off into the market from the federal government, right? So like I tell you guys, you need buying pressure, selling pressure, right? That's what the market is. That's how stocks go up and down. That's how Bitcoin goes up and down. That's how shitcoins go up and down. Buying pressure and selling pressure. So the selling pressure, some of the selling pressure would come from the U.S. government or from governments all over. Like Germany sold some of their Bitcoin, right? So what you have when you say when the federal government says we have 200,000 Bitcoin and we're not going to sell any,
Yeah.
right? So that takes off the selling pressure, you know. So it's been times where Bitcoins got nuked or got cooked because the government just decides to sell on a random day or whatever.
Yeah.
So we know that that's not going to happen anymore. That they are starting their stockpile of Bitcoin starting off with 200K. So, you know, the rumors were that the government wanted to buy 1 million Bitcoin, and so they probably buy like 200,000 a year every year for 5 years, or however they're going to get to owning 1 million Bitcoin, right? So starting off with 200K, that's not bad. You know, I know people were probably expecting Trump to come out and say like, yo, we're about to buy all the Bitcoin in the world,
right
you
now.
know? And you're like, bro, been a president for a month and a half.
Because you have to come up with strategies on how you're going to do that. You can't just come out and say we're about to buy 1 million Bitcoin. And what I was going to say that I really like that he stood on business behind was acquiring more Bitcoin in the future. Like they're going to come up with strategies on how we're going to add to it. So you can see that the government themselves sees it as a store of value. It's not like a thing where, okay, we have 200,000 Bitcoin, we're just going to make a reserve and we're not selling it. We have the reserve. That kind of defeats the purpose. Because you're not adding anything. Granted, you're not selling it, which is good, but you're not adding to your stockpile.
Yeah, so not selling it is like playing defense. And you can play the best defense in the world, but you need to put points on the board to win the game. And that would be the government buying, or any government's buying. So, you know, for them to come out and say, hey, you guys come up with a plan and then we're going to rock out. But don't forget, tomorrow they have that crypto meeting that they're going to do. So who knows what comes of that, you know, because they're meeting with like CEOs of companies. They're meeting with like big investors. They're meeting with kind of everybody. They're going to have the first, I think, annual crypto meeting or whatnot. But anyways, so at bare minimum, we are relieved of selling pressure. On the bright side, once they get this plan in place, then the government will be buying Bitcoin.
Yeah, and I was also going to say, even going back to his original tweet, all those like Cardano, XRP, Ethereum, Solana people, they were like so happy, like, oh, they're about to make a stockpile. They're about to buy all of these shit coins.
You know what that means for XRP?
Yeah. And
XRP could be at $36 million per token.
And you just like think about it, like even the government doesn't want to add to that stockpile, because if I read the rest of the tweet here, it says, in addition, the executive order establishes a U.S. digital asset stockpile consisting of digital assets other than Bitcoin forfeited in criminal or civil proceedings. The government will not acquire additional assets for the stockpile beyond those attained through the forfeit proceedings. So that's saying the opposite of the Bitcoin reserve. Like, okay, we have these that we took from like criminal or civil cases, but we're not buying any more of these shit coins like Ethereum.
Bro,
Solana.
I don't even, to be honest, I don't even know if the federal government has in possession these random shit coins.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Yeah, like, because imagine you're a criminal, you go steal some ETH.
Yeah. Like,
hey, bro, what you do that for?
Yeah.
And now it's down, like getting cooked. I was just playing. But so what they're saying is whatever they do have, they're just going to hold it, but they're not going to go buy any more. And that makes complete sense, because all these other coins that are not Bitcoin are not commodities, right? So they are tokens issued by an issuer. So why would you use either taxpayer money or federal government resources in order to buy, you know, a token that's unlicensed security that's issued by this company or that company? Like, think about how much of a benefit it would be if the U.S. government said they're buying Apple stock with taxpayer money. And you're like, why Apple?
Yeah.
That's how you kind of create and enforce monopolies. Yeah. And I know that all those shitcoin communities and like whoever, you know, has majority of the shit coins, whenever they're issued, were probably paying into the campaigns of these politicians in the House of Representatives, the senators, all that stuff.
So they're just gonna go ahead and be like, let me sprinkle you a little something. Even though, because when the original tweet came out, you're like, that doesn't make any sense.
Everybody was going ham, like, bro, why would you buy these shit coins? All right, now we know they're not.
Yeah.
All right, boom.
I'll give him Trump and his administration that. Like, I'm like, there's no way they're that dumb. You know, like, there's no way that you would go and buy something where there's an unfair advantage because there's a pre-mine, or these foundations own half of the supply. So, like you were saying, if the government buys billions of dollars of XRP, who's getting enriched? The XRP,
the Ripple founders,
and all the venture capitalists that they gave XRP to. Like, they're just literally lining their pockets. So
Trump not going.
Yeah,
that's dope.
He stood on it. He not going for that. But
not going.
Like you were saying, like, you know, all of these different shitcoins, there's really no difference between them. So, like, how did you come to that conclusion that you're gonna choose Cardano, Ethereum? Because Ethereum's not that much better than Cardano. XRP's not that much better than the next guy up. But it's just whoever was donating to the foundation to make shit.
Even the concept of them donating to the foundation. Think about this: I create something out of thin air. I sell it to the believers of my magic. I get the believers real money, and then I donate it to a politician. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'm sure everybody's seen through that or whatever. But some people watching this haven't seen through that people are creating tokens out of thin air, and then you're trading your hard-earned money in exchange for those tokens. And
it's even crazy that he made that tweet just to pump their bag, so they need to exit. Like, look, I need to exit a little more of my position. Let me go ahead and XRP, Solana, whatever, let them jump, and then you see the price just go zoop, and it hasn't recovered. Bitcoin's already recovered a little bit, went back to 94, went to 92s, and 88 now. It's recovering from 78, the low that it hit.
That first day that everything was getting cooked, man, and like we were saying, people are like, yeah, bro, where the meme coins at now, bro? Like, you really got to play a strategic game, man. Like, what I want you to know, and I know what bro wants you to know, is that you could set off on a path to build wealth for sure, or you could keep trying to get rich and get clapped, right? Because one of the main elements in you building wealth is time, right? How long you stay invested into an asset that's growing and compounding, right? So you put your money in something that's growing and compounding, and you never interrupt the compounding, right? So you need to, like, time. Like, you know how earlier today we were looking at mortgage, like those
amortization.
Calculators or calendars or whatever, and you start to see that as long as something goes on and the interest keeps hitting, the longer it goes on, the more money you pay. You know what I'm saying? And like I was saying, this applies to trading and investing as well. So if you have this nest egg of money and then it grows 30%, so if you have $1,000 and it grows 30%, well, now you have $1,300, right? So then the next year, if you have a 30% return, you're not getting 30% on $1,000. You're getting 30% on $1,300. And then the next year, you're getting 30% on that. So that's what the compounding is. So you don't want to interrupt the compounding, right? So you get in the best performing asset and you let it rock out. So moving your money out of that to stop the compounding, to try to guess on what the next asset's going to be, right? And then you get cooked and you're like, hey, bro, you don't even realize, like, if you just let this thing do its thing, you'll be all right, you know? So, all right, boom, that kind of wraps up their strategic Bitcoin reserve. They're not going to sell any of the Bitcoin that they seized, which is around 200,000. They sold about 197,000 in the past. They're not selling anymore. They're going to put a plan together to acquire more without it costing taxpayers money.
Because the taxpayers, like, you're going to use our money to buy
the thing that keeps going up forever. How dumb.
Shit. They use taxpayers' money to do a whole bunch of other dumb shit, but they can't just come out and say we finna we go use y'all money to buy Bitcoin.
Using taxpayer money to turn frogs gay and shit. That shit crazy, bro.
A whole lot of dumb shit with taxpayers' money. So I guess, but Let's see. We'll see. I guess they'll probably go more into it tomorrow on what,
Yeah.
or like months, years from now. Like they'll know what strategies they're gonna come up with to acquiring more. But he did what he said he was gonna do, and now it gives me the understanding that he does understand what's going on with Bitcoin, and he
Yeah.
understands crypto.
The difference between,
he
yeah.
understands the difference because he did. Even though ETH is a popular number two, you see that it wasn't a ETH strategic reserve. He knows like, okay, there's a foundation y'all own like 40-50% of the supply.
Yeah,
Like,
very straightforward.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's made a lot of money in business, and plus, you're gonna hire the best advisors, right? And then, I mean, if you make it to that level of wealth, if you make it to any level of wealth, you start to understand the difference between different asset classes and who benefits from which asset class and why.
Yep.
So, another thing I was gonna say about this strategic Bitcoin reserve is that Bitcoin doesn't need the federal government.
Yeah, I don't.
Bitcoin doesn't need any government, right? All these governments need Bitcoin. And the sooner people figure that out, the better. Bitcoin doesn't need me. Bitcoin doesn't need OJ. Bitcoin doesn't need you guys, right? Like, we need Bitcoin because what's happening is if you're rich, you need a place to store your money. And if you're broke, you need a place to grow your money.
Yep.
Bitcoin solves all those problems, right? So it's a race against time. Who's going to figure out that this thing solves everyone's problems first? There are some people who figured this out 15 years ago. They put $1,000 in when Bitcoin was a quarter, and now they have billions of dollars. There's some people who turn 1,000 into a billion, right? There's some people who turn $5,000 into half a billion. Right, the sooner you figure this thing out, and the sooner you say, "Hey, I'm putting my money here and I'm going to sit on it," because more people are going to adapt this network, the better. The network is going to grow faster than what you can trade your dollars per hour.
Yep.
Right, or the network is going to grow faster than you could trade stock options. The network is going to grow faster than you can create a business. Not saying don't trade stock options, not saying don't create a business. I'm saying when you get your money from doing those things, you store it in Bitcoin.
Hey, listen to what he said. He will not lead you the wrong way.
Type shit.
All right, so the next thing we're going to get into, so we beat up the strategic reserve, but in the future, if they drop more details on it, then we'll cover more.
Yeah, we'll get deeper into it, but we just going off of what we know so far, what was made public.
All right, so next what we're going to talk about is having Bitcoin as your savings account. So do you want to explain to that? I know you already covered it a little bit in the video, but maybe everybody hasn't watched that. So
yeah, okay, so in the traditional view of finance and the way that, you know, you guys were all taught about money and finance is that saving money is kind of like something you do, but it's not the largest part of your portfolio. So the largest part of somebody's portfolio would be their house or their stock market portfolio, right? So at the bottom of the pyramid, we're going to put this pyramid right here. At the bottom of the pyramid, you have your house or your retirement account, 401k, whatever. That's the base of most people's wealth. Right? It's either the house, majority of their wealth is tied into their house, or the majority of their wealth is tied into their stock market account, right? 401k, IRAs, or individual accounts, right? Or a combination of both. That's the bottom of the pyramid. The next layer, you have your investments, right? So let's say that the bottom of your first layer is your house. Well, now when you get money or you already own a house, maybe you're putting some money into the stock market, or maybe you go buy a rental property, or maybe you buy old school classic cars or whatever, however you store your money. You need a place to store your money, right? Then you might have some cash, and then you might have at the very, very top of the pyramid, the smallest part is your savings account, right? Because in the traditional financial world, you understand that you can't save money because of inflation, right? So how we were saying like, yo, Pawpaw's saved $10,000 for you. Back in Pawpaw's day, he could have bought a house for $10,000.
Yep.
So he buries this in the backyard. 30, 40 years later, you get it. And now you can get a Van Cleef bracelet. You know what I mean? So with $10,000, your grandpa could have bought a house. With $10,000, you could buy a nice necklace, right? So it's well understood that you cannot just save money in cash. That's why we tie our money to financial assets, right? And even when this change happened, where the money system basically became broken in 1971, you guys all know this because you watch all the episodes. But even, okay, so before money was off of the gold standard, real estate was not an investing class.
Yeah, people just lived in their house.
You just live in your home, right? Like, there wasn't a bunch of land. Like, your everyday neighbor didn't own 4 other houses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So real estate was like there was like the financialization of real estate because the dollar became worthless. So now you're looking for any and everywhere to store your money. And then the cool thing about real estate is you can leverage up, right? You can go borrow money. So people will have their investments, back to the pyramid. People will have their investments, and then at the very, very top, people will have their savings. You know damn well you can't save no bread, right? Because it's going to melt. On the Bitcoin standard, there's a new triangle, right? So boom, look at this triangle. The bottom of this triangle and the biggest part of the triangle is your savings account, aka your Bitcoin, right? You're putting money away for the long term. Right. So the reason why you can use Bitcoin as a savings account and not cash is because Bitcoin doesn't fall in purchasing power. So you're saving money, you're filling up this bottom of this triangle because your purchasing power is growing. Right. So if you get paid this week, maybe you get an $800 paycheck, you put 300 of the 800 into your savings account. Right. You look up in 10 years and that $300 is now worth $15,000. So you just plant a seed, and then time does its thing. People join the network gets stronger, the price of Bitcoin goes up, your little $300 turn to $15,000 10, 15 years later.
Because I know people in the comments, it may go over their head because you're saying savings account. So what about the people where they're going to be like, isn't that what you consider an investment?
No, because I'm not speculating on this company needs to release more products in order to do this, or Nike needs to go sell more shoes in Russia, or Nike needs more contracts with the JD store that is now opening in Europe. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many moving parts that you're speculating. That's what an investment is speculation. It's a calculated speculation, but it's speculation, right? Once you understand Bitcoin and you live on a Bitcoin standard, you're not speculating in Bitcoin. You're saving your money in Bitcoin. It's a separate financial system. You put your money there and you go about your day, right? So there's a difference. Now, if Bitcoin is the standard, because we know the true measure of if your wealth is growing, it's not the S&P 500 like it would be on your traditional I guess the traditional financial stance. It's now Bitcoin's return, right? So if Bitcoin's averaging 62% per year, and I see a stock that's not going to grow 62% per year, why would I put my money in it?
Exactly.
Right? So now there's no need to speculate, right? So with that being said, that takes stocks, like that takes your savings account, makes it that much more important. I'm just going to save everything and let it grow, save everything, let it grow. Now you're going to find companies in the market, or you're going to find even traditional companies, let's say, that have nothing to do with Bitcoin, but maybe the stock price just got hit a little too much. So you can speculate on a faster return in a shorter amount of time or whatever, right? So maybe let's say something happens where like the whole market is getting crashed and you're like, hey, I'm going to speculate that within the next 6 months, Google is going to return first and they're going to have a good earnings. And, you know, the company needs to have earnings, but the company can only trade up to a multiple of, you know, their earnings, their revenue, and their assets on hand. So the company can only grow so far in the first place. But I can speculate on that, right?
Yeah.
But how big can Bitcoin grow? Well, Bitcoin could be worth all the money in the world or all the assets in the world, which we know is 900 plus $1 trillion. We're only at $2 trillion right now. So we can go from a $2 trillion asset to a $900 trillion asset. That puts each Bitcoin at like $90 million of today's money if it eats the entire financial system. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe only 10% of all the money in the financial system goes into Bitcoin. All right, cool. Now we have a $20 million Bitcoin. Exactly. But either way, I kind of went on a little rant. But either way, you're getting paid and then you're just putting some of your money away for the long term, right? Mm-hmm. Now, hypothetically, like I said, you get your $800 paycheck, you put $300 away in your savings account, right? So then what a lot of people will say is, well, how do I pay my bills? If I'm putting all this money in Bitcoin, how do I pay my bills? Or what am I supposed to do if this, like, hey, bro, calculate how much money, how much dollars you need to pay your bills. Mm-hmm. So if you got $800 paycheck coming and you know that all your bills is going to be $500, then you know, okay, I can put $300 away. Yep. We're not saying take the whole 800, put it in Bitcoin, and then if Bitcoin goes down a little bit and you need to sell out to pay your bills, now you took a loss. Yeah. We're not speculating whether Bitcoin's going to go up or down tomorrow. That's what traders do.
Span of years, yeah.
Yeah, we're thinking in years. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. So if it doesn't, I'm going to repeat it one more time. If you have $1,000 paycheck, for easy math, I'm not telling you put $1,000 into Bitcoin because it could grow. But then when your light bill is due and Bitcoin went down 5%, right? Now you need to sell out some of that Bitcoin to pay your light bill. That just means you're paying 5% more for the light bill. That doesn't make any sense. So you're not taking your whole paycheck and then putting it into Bitcoin, right? You're taking the amount of money that you would save normally. 20% of your check, 30% of your check, you put that away into Bitcoin for the future. Yep. And then you let Bitcoin do what it's going to do and compound, and you don't interrupt the compounding, right? So when people say, oh, you know, you live on a Bitcoin standard, how do you pay your bills? Like, bro, if I need money in cash, I just keep it in cash. I don't convert it into Bitcoin, right? So anyways, so Bitcoin is the savings account. When I get money, I want to save my money, I buy Bitcoin. That's not the money meant to pay bills. That's not the money meant to pay off my credit card. That's not the money meant to pay a car note or pay anything in the near future. We're talking about saving your money for the future because your future self needs it, right? So Bitcoin becomes the biggest part of your financial strategy. Now, when you think about it like that, then what happens is you stop looking at a house as your investment.
Yeah, it's just somewhere to live.
Exactly.
It's not a good investment, or it's not a good place to store money.
Okay, so explain to people why you see it as a house is just somewhere to live and you shouldn't speculate on whether it's going to go up or down.
Me personally, I don't think you should speculate whether it's going to be going up or down just because, let's say you're pricing homes in Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. And you can see like the home value is falling in Bitcoin. So it's not somewhere I would want to go store my money here. Like, let me go buy 10 houses.
Yeah, because they're all going to fall against Bitcoin.
Exactly.
It's going to fall against Bitcoin times 10.
Exactly. Exactly. So to me, the way I see it is like, okay, if I'm going to get a house, is because one, I need the house. Two, this is where I want to live. And it's not something like, oh, I'm trying to do some, you know, house hacking, or I'm trying to make money from the home. I just need somewhere to rest my head, and I need maybe somewhere for my family or my kids to grow up in. I'm not necessarily looking at it as an investment. But I think if you don't have an instrument or a financial market or something that is a better store of value, you kind of have to look at it like that.
You have to speculate. So which is crazy because like you were saying, like, so in the future, you're going to have a wife and children, right? Where you decide to live should be what's best for you, your wife, and your children, not what's best for your pockets.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like, okay, you're going to go speculate to move into this area because you think it's a fast growing area. So it'll send the value of your property up. Like, bro, they only got no elementary schools over there.
roads, no nothing. It's
You know what
not
I'm
good
saying?
roads paved yet. It's not
Yeah.
good, convenient enough for you and your family. You're just there speculating.
Exactly. So when you come into the Bitcoin standard and you're using Bitcoin as your savings account, then you don't need to look at your house to save you and to prevent you from becoming, like poor against inflation.
Yeah, because I know you were even segueing off of real estate. You would once you use Bitcoin as like your, denomination. Like, okay, I'm pricing everything in this. This is my savings account. You even take like I know at one point you were buying watches, and it's like, okay, I may actually like these watches, but I'm kind of buying them because I'm speculating as,
Yep.
they might rise in value, they might not, but
Yeah.
you kind of like stop doing like
That
random
was-
things like that, getting
yeah.
like, people get like, bikes, paintings,
Yeah.
cars, some random shit
Yep.
like that.
Yeah, there's people who speculate in art. There's people who speculate in classic cars. There's people who speculate in watches. I bought 12 Rolexes, right? I bought 12 Rolexes, and the way that it works for you guys who don't know is that when you buy a Rolex, they have to offer you the watch in the first place, right? So let's say they're offering you, I got an AP on, but let's say they're offering you like a Datejust, and the market value of this Datejust is $15,000, right?
Yeah.
Or not? Yeah, Datejust. Let's just say $15,000, and this configuration specifically is hard to find, right? Now there's people selling it on the internet for $25,000. Right? So if you walk into that store, buy that watch for 15 grand, walk out, it's worth 25,000. You could sell it and make a profit, right? But then again, if you get caught selling it, they're gonna stop offering you watches because then you're a reseller, right? So you're speculating, you gotta be sneaky, you gotta do all these things, right? But that was just 15,000 to 25,000. There was some watches, I think the best hypothetical return I would have had on the watch is I bought a Rolex for 42,000. I think it was 1,000, ended up being worth like 65 or it was something stupid like that, right?
Yeah.
So now but this is, so on that first triangle here, the first triangle at the very top where you have things you're speculating on, I was speculating on watches.
Yeah.
So I have all these watches and I've never even worn them. Like I have my favorite 3 that I wear, and then I just have watches sitting around.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, this is a way for me to grow my money, hedge inflation that's not correlated with real estate, not correlated with the stock market, not correlated with Bitcoin. So I was speculating. Now I'm like, this would be a cool gift for my friend.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah.
This would be a cool gift for my brother. Happy birthday. Now I'm like giving people their first Rolexes as like a token of appreciation because I'm like, I don't need to store my money in that anymore. And matter of fact, I haven't even bought any more watches. But if I were to buy a watch, it'd be because I want it. You know what I'm saying?
You'd actually wear.
Something I would actually wear. If I'm gonna buy a watch and let it sit in the safe, or I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we always go to this whole quality of life thing, that when you come onto the Bitcoin standard and majority of your wealth is in your savings account, and that savings account is growing at a very strong compounding rate, that you start doing things that you actually want to do and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, comparing the two triangles, I know most of you guys look at things like, how much equity do I have in my house? But consider this, if you sold your house, well, where would you live?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So
and
it
then,
doesn't matter how much you have.
And okay, not only where would you live, but how much are you going to pay in fees? So just saying I bought a house for 500,000 and now it's worth $1 million doesn't mean you have 500,000 equity. You know what I'm saying? You're going to pay fees, you're going to pay taxes, you're going to, you still got to go find somewhere else to live. But that's what people do to calculate their net worth and I guess boost their egos. They just look at simple numbers and they're like, hey, let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
how long
you can even take a loan out against the equity you have, but you still have to pay that shit back.
Yeah, a HELOC. You can get a HELOC, what he was saying. Yeah, very true. So what we're saying when it comes to real estate on this new standard is that I'm going to buy a house because I want the house. You know what I mean? Like, will this go up in value or not? Who cares, bro?
Yeah.
Our money is stored in the best
performing asset.
Performing asset in the history of modern finances. We don't care if the house goes up in value or not because we know for sure it's going down against Bitcoin. So again, like this stuff will start to seem repetitive because we really need it. We need it to like sit in your head.
Yeah.
Right? Something may be going up in dollars, but it's going down in Bitcoin. So what would be the point of owning that? What would be the point of me owning the S&P 500 if it's going up in dollars but down in Bitcoin when I could just buy Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
So with that being said, there's a lot of talk too where people think that I want you to talk to people about this because you didn't start with a lot of money and then you just consistently made buys. But when you were making those smaller buys, let's say you're putting 400 in, 500 in, I know there's a temptation, or maybe there was a temptation for you to go buy some shitcoin thinking that it would grow faster, because why are you only putting $400 into a $30,000 Bitcoin when you could go get a bunch of another token? Like, talk about that.
Yeah, so before we met, I was buying like maybe a couple thousand here, a couple $100 here, and then I'm like, man, I could really just put it in this shitcoin. But back then I didn't know there were shitcoins. I'm just thinking, oh, this technology, like I can just put it in here, it'll go up 400%. Why would I buy Bitcoin? It's only going up 10-15% of the day, but this coin is going up 80%. Like, let me sell some of my Bitcoin and then go buy it.
Isn't that crazy how people who don't understand it think? Well, this Bitcoin's only going to go up 30%, but fuck coin can go up 800%. And then you're like, yeah, and as soon as Bitcoin goes down 5%, fuck coin's gonna disappear.
Yeah, like, and that's literally what happened to me. Like, I'm buying like these other coins, and then I see like, damn, Bitcoin is only down 6%, but my coin is down 30%. So it doesn't matter that it ran up 400% because 30% is 30%.
Yep.
Even if it falls 50%, your coin goes from $1 to $10. If it goes down 50%, that shit's back at $5.
Yeah. So eventually it flips the switch in your mind that let me just go with the OG and I'll get ahead doing that versus trying to chase the get rich quick schemes.
So then I went to like, you started explaining, and then I still had some when you were first explaining it to me. I still had a little bit of Bitcoin, but it wasn't much. Like it had to have been like maybe $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. So like after I like learned and got orange pills, so I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily have like a large lump sum of money because I was still pretty young at the time. So like, like, because let's say you orange pill somebody who's 40, they might be able to sell their 401k, get a couple $100,000 and be buying. Yeah. So I'm like, maybe most of the people here who just, they work, they do whatever they do, they may not have like a large lump sum of money to put in at that very given moment. But I like told myself like, okay, like every time I get paid, I'll take a large percentage of it, just buy Bitcoin with it through like month after month, staying consistent, month after month, month after month. And I want to say I started 2023.
What were like talk numbers? What were some of those buys? Like
a lot of those buys were like 1,500, 2,000, 4,000, 5,000, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000.
What was the lowest buy that you made?
I think 28,000. I think it was.
No. I'm saying no.
The lowest number like
that you've put in. Yeah.
Oh, like $1, $4. $4. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, I'm trying to buy some shit. Like $4.
I'm trying to touch a little 2K.
Yeah, because on my Instagram or Twitter, I posted, like, I'm all about being transparent. I posted all my buys. I screen recorded all my apps. Yeah. You can see all the buys. You see $4 buys, $1 buys.
Yeah, keep going. I'm about to find my first buy. Yeah, right, go ahead.
But I think if we're talking about Bitcoin price, I think the lowest has to be like 27,000.
No, I was talking about like what's the lowest amount of US dollars, because like some people would be thinking like I only have $100, it's not worth it. Like bullshit.
Oh god, because you can see on my because I started off using Coinbase first, and then you can see like a $4,000 buy, then you see a $2 buy, or I think it's like $1 or $4. So it's like, nah, I'm really consistently like buying it over and over and over and over again. And then I think at the start of 2023.
Oh yeah, check. Hold on. Press pause real quick. Look, check this out. I'm gonna put this on the screen for y'all to see. How much was my very first Bitcoin buy? This is December 4th, 2017.
$350.
I put $350 in. Then I did what? How much next?
What is that? 150.
And then
$136.
and then
150.
and then
125.
and then
$50.
Look, 2017, y'all. I'm putting $350 in, $150. So when y'all see me post $50,000 buys, $500,000 buys now, hey, just know, nigga, I was putting $50 buys in 2017, bro. Like, so don't look at it like, oh, because it's easy for you to say you have millions of dollars, blah, blah, blah. You don't understand. Like, no, I kind of got it back in 2017, but I didn't really get it. But even back in 2017, I understood, like, yo, $150 can go a long way. Yep. Or, like, think about it like this, bro. Like, you're buying the best asset. It's almost like, would you rather own a small fraction of the NBA, or you own a tenth, so a bigger fraction of your local men's basketball league?
Yeah, facts.
But someone's gonna be like, well, you only own 0.0003 of the NBA. And you're like, yeah, you don't see how that's way better than owning your local LA Fitness competition with 40 people playing.
Yep.
Quality matters, right? Like, quality matters. And because the people who are creating these tokens and issuing these tokens know that, they debut these tokens with a very low price.
Yeah,
so therefore, so when you go buy a token, you're like, I have 250,000 fuck coins. Like, that's better than having 0.001 Bitcoin. Like, no, it's not, bro.
Literally.
So, okay, I want you to get back to like your buys.
Yeah, let me even.
And we're gonna come full circle with this, because I want to show y'all what some of those buys have grown to.
Yeah, let me see.
And then I think once we show you what those buys have grown to, you'll start to see why or how this all makes sense. Yeah. So while he's looking for that, one thing I want to tell you guys about real estate is, I was thinking about this today when I was taking a shower. I was like, hey, actually, if you wanted to buy a house, right? Most of y'all think, some of y'all think that buying a house is kind of like not feasible right now, right? All right, so I'm looking at his $3 buy.
21K.
Hey, Bitcoin was $21,000 back in 2023, and bro put $3 in. But even think about, like, yo, $3 would be worth like $9 right now.
Yeah, literally.
Probably even like 12. But anyways, so what I was gonna say is, a lot of you guys think that like a house is unaffordable right now, right? So most people are concerned with buying their first home, right? So me and OJ as Bitcoiners, and we're telling you, like, yo, we want y'all to own homes. If you want to own a home, I want you to own a home. Bro wants you to own a home. But we're going to show you how Bitcoin is going to be your fast path to owning a home, right? So hear me out, y'all, and y'all screen record this and hold me to this. So check this out. Bitcoin's $88,000 right now, right? So you want to buy a house in 5 years. So in 2031, you want to buy a house. Let's say by then, the average new build is half a million, right? So a 20% down payment on $500,000 is $100,000. So for some of y'all, depending on where y'all live in America, $500,000 get you a very nice home.
Yep.
If you live in Texas, $500,000 get you a very nice home, right? All I need you to do is buy a tenth of a Bitcoin. So a tenth of a Bitcoin will be $8,800 right now. Mm-hmm. So for $8,800, you get 0.1 Bitcoin, right? So what's going to happen is Bitcoin is going to run to a M. So you're going to 10x your buy, right? So that's just a one-time buy. If you just buy at one time, $8,800. When Bitcoin gets to an M, which I'm saying it's going to get there in 5-6 years as a down payment for a house or not. Now, if you keep adding to that, obviously you're going to have more. But mark my words, you can fast track your path to buying a $500,000 house by buying some Bitcoin right now. So I made a tweet today saying that $1 million is on sale for 100 grand right now. It's really on sale for 88,000. Right? 10 bands is on sale for $880. $100 is on sale for $8.88. So for y'all who want to buy a house in the near future, for you, people who are looking to get your first home or, whatever, expand your family, however you want to do it, go buy you $8,800 worth of Bitcoin and vow to never sell that for 5 years. So when Bitcoin touches $1 million, I'm going to replay this video from 5 years ago and be like, yo, I told y'all 5 years ago, now you got a down payment for your first home. Congratulations. Thank me in advance, y'all.
But I was even going to say earlier, so I was buying Bitcoin in 21 and 22, but I sold a lot of it to buy those shit coins and I lost money. But
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and then
surprise.
March 9th, 2023, I started buying seriously. So by then, I would say, March 9th, 2023, I was buying seriously, and I would say, within 2 months, I probably had, $6 grand worth of Bitcoin, right?
When is this?
March 9th, 2023. I
Okay.
probably had, 6 bands, and then I got even more serious. I'm like, nah, I'm going to get serious. So this is for the people who think, since he has hella money, that's why you're able to grow your wealth.
Hey, Mom, if you watching this, I don't got no money. My mom's listening, nigga. What money?
So look, they think, he has, a lot of money, so it's easy for you to multiply your wealth that fast.
Yeah.
But I took my 6 grand, so just adding, and Bitcoin price appreciates. So I'm being consistent. So every 2 weeks, I'm buying at least anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 worth of Bitcoin. Maybe your number might be a little lower, but I went from 6 to a 6-figure Bitcoin portfolio in a year. Because in 2024, that's when.
Wait, this is 2024 or 2023?
So from 2023 to 2024.
Oh yeah. It grew to being worth 6 figures, and which is crazy because how many people your age got 6 figures?
Yeah.
On them, not on them, but it's liquid,
Yeah, I could just sell it if I wanted to.
If anybody your age has 6 figures, most of the time it's tied up in the house. Maybe they bought a house when they were 18 because their parents looked out for them or something. Yeah. Or maybe they inherited a house. But bro, you're self-made.
Yeah.
And then all he did, y'all know his story. All he did was get a job and load the money into Bitcoin. So for him to go from stacking up, having $6,000, 1 year later, he has 6 figures.
Yeah.
What's stopping y'all from doing that? Most of y'all watching this got 6 grand, right? But what's going to happen is you have this 6 grand and you're going to chase faster things. Somebody out there is going to convince you that this other thing is going to move faster, right? So you're going to take your 6 and you're going to go play in that market. You're going to take your 6, you're going to go play in that market instead of saying, or right now I'm going to call it, instead of 6, call it 8, right? A tenth of a Bitcoin, right? Because what happens is you take that 10, you buy a tenth of a Bitcoin, you're going to work, you get paid your 2 weeks, you add another 1,000, right? You get paid 2 weeks later, you add 500. You get paid, you add 1,500. You keep adding it up. So how much of a Bitcoin you own, the percentage of a Bitcoin you own is growing, but the value of Bitcoin is going. So his 6-figure portfolio is not all money he put in. He's not telling you that he put 6 figures in, right? So hypothetically, let's say he has 150,000, right? Maybe 60,000 of that is his, and the other 90,000 came from the growth of the asset, right? So that's why I tell people you could buy future wealth, right? You could buy future income, like that guy that went viral. There's a guy who went viral on Twitter because he bought $30 worth of Bitcoin every day for 7 years. He put 80 bands in and it's worth 1.1, 1.2 million.
Exactly.
Bro traded $80,000 for 1.2 million.
And the thing is, like, your numbers may look different from mine or his. Like, maybe you make less, so you're like, okay, I'm not buying five, six, seven, $8,000 worth of Bitcoin every month. Maybe I'm just doing 1,000. Like, maybe your $1,000 goes to 50 grand or 40
Yeah,
G's.
like
If that's where if you're making $1,000 a month, like $12,000 a year, or maybe you're making 24, you put 1,000, you keep 1,000.
yeah.
To have 40, 50 liquid like that,
Most people don't. Most people don't have $500.
exactly.
And we're telling you like, yo, this is how you touch a 50 ball in a relatively quick time.
Quick way.
Now, here's a buy right here of $2,000, right? So I had $2,000. So if y'all use Swan, you can go on Swan and you can look at all your previous buys. So I had $2,000, which some of y'all are gonna say, for me, that's not a lot, right? But I even value putting $2,000 away.
Yep.
I put $2,000 in a Bitcoin 26 months ago, 2 years and 2 months ago. It's worth 10 bands right now.
Yep.
Then a few days later, I put some more money in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen record my Swan buys so you can see. I'll probably voice over it too. So I'm going to overlay it. So y'all going to be able to see what I bought and how much it's worth. But one of the main ones that I'm proud of to show you guys is a $2,000 buy that's now worth 10 bands. So if you were putting $2,000, we'll say $1,000 a month away. So mine went up times 5. If you're putting $1,000 a month away, right? If you were doing it back when I was doing it, that's $12,000 in a year. That $12,000 in a year would now be worth $60,000, right? So let's say somebody who's only putting $1,000. I say only, but just for the math. If someone's only putting $1,000 a month away, let's say hypothetically they only make $4,000 a month. So you make $48,000 a year, but yet you have $60K saved.
Yeah.
You have a whole year's worth of salary saved. Now do that again the next year, and do that again the next year, do that again the next year, right? So as time goes on, that 2K buy is going to be worth, eventually, right now it's worth 10, but eventually it's going to be worth 15 and then 20. Eventually that $2,000 buy is going to be worth $50,000, right? On a long enough scale, that $2,000 buy will be worth 100 bands. So, but notice when I show you guys the video is I'm not buying one time. It's every time I touch a little money. That's the whole definition of a savings account. Exactly. It's like a piggy bank. If I got some money from this, I just put some into Bitcoin, no matter how big that payout was. So if I got $2,000 to put away, I'm putting $2,000 away. That 2 turned into 10.
Yeah. And even
so here's one of my Swan accounts. I'm gonna show you guys some of these archived accounts because these show you the buys that I was buying in 2022. So December 8, 2022, I put $2,000 in. That 2,000 is now worth 10,000. Right, so imagine, if you're able to save $2,000 in 2 months, and now it's worth 10,000. Like, that's insane. Here's another one, $5,000 buy is worth about 25,000. So every time I get paid, anytime I touch a little bit of bread, I just put it away, 50,000 into 250,000, 246,000. And if your numbers are bigger than mine, then just add a 0. If your numbers are smaller, I take away a 0, but the percentages returns are the same. Here's another 50 that went to 250. That means 5,000 would have went to 25,000, right? It's all fractal. So here, about 27,000. That's worth 138,000 now. Like, this is crazy. So just imagine every time that you save a little bit of money, it just goes on a journey to grow forever, right? You buy once and it grows forever. I'm gonna show you another account that I have on Swan. Right, I like this feature from Swan. You can look at all the buys and what they're worth. So let's just go back down. So just think about, you do the work one time, you get paid, you put the money away, and it grows forever. So November 27th, all right, about 100,000, 105,000, it's worth 246,000. Right, money is just growing. All right, about 250,000 is worth 551,000. Like I said, if your numbers are bigger than mine, add a 0 to it. If your numbers are smaller than mine, take away a 0 or 2, but the percentages remain the same. But every time I'm getting paid, I'm selling houses, trading crypto, trading stocks, got my online businesses. I got everything going on so I can just, keep loading up, and I'm dumping off all my assets, all my other assets to buy more and more and more. So here I bought $190,000 worth $388,000. Right. So y'all will notice or figure out when y'all climb, to the to the top of the socioeconomic ladder, that your wealth grows by your assets moving, not by your income, right? So the income is good because it helps you buy more assets. So just look at these buys. All right, $85,000 that went to 172. So imagine that 172 in the future is gonna be 250, and then it's gonna be 300, and then eventually it's gonna be $1 million. So $50,000 buy worth 92,000. So every little time I get money, that's what I do, man. I just put it away. So imagine if your savings account was growing. Imagine if the money that you made 10 years ago is, worth, I don't know, 50 times more, 20 times more, 15 times more. It doesn't matter. All right, about 44,000 here is worth 86,000. So all this is like a year ago. So imagine where it's going to be in 3 years, like small buys, referral credits. Like imagine I got $5 because somebody signed up for Swan, and that 5 turned into 10. Right? I'm not too cool or too big to overlook the small things. Yeah. Brick by brick, bit by bit, I'm just stacking up. And whenever I get paid, I put these away. Before November 2022, I was buying on Kraken, and Kraken doesn't have this feature, but this feature is pretty cool, so I want to show y'all. About 25K worth is worth 51,000. Right? So imagine if 20% of your paycheck from 7 years ago is still growing right now. That's how you build the wealth, man. So just kind of what I wanted to show y'all.
And even I was gonna say, like, I'm sure this is for you too, for sure. But like, you eventually buy, like I said in a previous episode, you eventually buy enough Bitcoin to the point where I'm having days where I'm making more, like my savings account is going, my Bitcoin savings account is going up more in a single day than I make in an entire month.
Yeah.
Because eventually you can get to the point where a 2% move, that's your monthly
Facts.
income because you've bought enough Bitcoin up until this point.
Yeah. So what a lot of you guys don't realize, and I want you to realize, is the wealthiest people in the country and in the world, the top 1%, right? Their wealth grows based on their assets, not on their income, right? Your wealth grows based on your assets, not on your income. So if your income requires you to work.
Yeah.
Because who else is going to pay you? So let's say you're an employee. The income comes directly tied to you working. But how much work can you do in a day?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then another thing too is, so let's say you're not a salary employee. Let's say you're hourly wage, right? Okay, so there's two parts of the equation that come out with your how much your paycheck's going to be. How much you make per hour and how many hours you work.
Yeah.
For most of you guys who work and you're paid per hour, you can't control either one of those elements, right? Either one. You can't tell your boss, I'm going to work more hours today. Or, hey, I know I work for 30 an hour, but today I'm working for 35 an hour. You can't control those things, right? But what you can control is what you do with the money, right? Your asset can grow uncontrollably. Bitcoin can 1,000x from here. You get what I'm saying? So you put $1,000 in, 1,000 times 1,000 is $1 million. You get what I'm saying? Like maybe you don't reap the benefit, maybe your children do. So when you get to past the upper middle class and you get up there, your wealth moves based on what your assets do. And you guys already know that the entire global economy is set to inflate the prices of assets. So not only will the cost of living continue to go up, the cost of quality assets will continue to go up too. So who's that going to benefit? All the wealthy people who store their wealth in assets.
People say the wealthier get wealthier because of X, Y, and Z. They throw all this racial shit or all this random reasons why. It's just like they own all the assets. So
the rich get richer because of compound interest. Right? So if you have majority of your wealth in the S&P 500, hypothetically, you got $100 million tied into the S&P 500. The S&P 500 has a 30% year. You made $30 million. Yeah. What you did for work doesn't matter
at all.
Right? You could have been making whatever. Maybe you're an actor and you only get paid per movie and you did 0 movies, still made 30 million. So like I showed you guys, like this last year that just passed, that my Bitcoin account moved 12 M's. We're not talking about what I've made from working. We're just talking about like doing absolutely nothing. My Bitcoin account moved $12 million. There's people in the NBA that have to go work and play ball all year, or people in the NFL, they don't make $12 million in a year. So that's money that my money made. You know what I'm saying? On top of what all my businesses and stuff made. We're just talking about your assets moving. You know what I'm saying? Now, if this year ends up becoming another 100% year, then you have another 8-figure year, and all we've been doing, what we've been doing every day, bro, hooping, hanging with the family, hanging with my friends, and you end up having another 8-figure year, and then another 8-figure year, and then he's gonna have 6-figure year, 6-figure year, 6-figure year, 7-figure year. Then you're gonna have 4 7-figure years, then you have an 8-figure year, and you're like, this is just my assets compounding. So if that's the key, if the key is to put your money in assets, quality assets that compound, all you need to do after that is say, what's the best asset?
Yeah, literally.
And then that arrives, you do your homework, you do the knowledge, and you arrive at Bitcoin's the best asset. Yeah. So why are you buying anything that's not Bitcoin? To buy anything that's not Bitcoin says that you want less money. Oh, but I want to invest in this. You want less money. You know what I'm saying? If your goal is to get wealthy. If your goal is not to get wealthy, ignore everything that I just said. If your goal is to get wealthy, do numbers.
Get wealthy the fastest way possible.
The fastest but safest way, right? So some people only consider speed, right? So they'll come to you, they might come to you and be like, OJ, what's the fastest way to double my money? Bet it all on black. Go to the casino, bet it all on black. Yeah. That's the fastest way. You're going to figure out in the next 30 seconds if you doubled your wealth or not.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. The problem is you can go to 0. So by now, y'all should know rule number 1. You remember rule number 1?
Yeah, don't lose money.
Don't lose money. Rule number 1 is don't lose money. Rule number 1 is not make money. It's to don't lose your money. So if you come to me and you say, what's the fastest way to double your money? I'm going to say, put it on black. But then you can say, oh, rule number 1 is not lose money. Okay, now we talking. Now the stupid casino games are out, right? So you're not about to go put all your money on black because you don't want to violate rule number 1, right? So you're going to say, no, like reasonably, what's the best way to make or grow your money? Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Everything else is to distract you from Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is the savings technology. Imagine if the money that you were making 10 years ago is still growing.
Yeah, today.
A
lot of people don't even know where the money they were even spending.
Where is your 2015 money at? I know where my 2015 money is. It's stored in an asset that's still growing. So imagine you put in X amount of energy of work in 2015 and you swap those dollars for an asset and the asset's still growing.
Yeah.
I'm not still doing that work from 2015. Where's your money at from 5 years ago? It should still be growing. Where's your money at from 5 months ago?
Yeah,
it should still be.
Their money from last week.
You don't know where your money is from last week because you just go to the mall and swap it out for little bullshit. So what we're saying is everything that you make, a portion is yours to keep forever. Yeah. So you're going to save it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're going to save it. So when you save it, you're going to store it in Bitcoin and it's going to grow. So every time I press buy, all I'm doing is saving some money that's now continuously growing,
Yeah.
right? So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you can be like, hey, one time I flipped a car, because bro flipped a car. We talked about that. He flipped the car. What'd you make off that?
Like profit?
Yeah.
I think it was $4,000 or $5,000.
All right, so imagine this. Bro makes $5,000 flipping a car. He puts it in Bitcoin, Bitcoin 10Xs. He made $50,000 flipping a car that only cost $8,000 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or imagine when Bitcoin 1,000Xs, 50Xs, whatever. He did the work once, and then the wealth grows forever. That's how I want you guys to set up your finances. Right? You work for 2 weeks, you take a portion of that, and you set it on a journey to grow forever. And then the next time you get a check, you set that money on a journey to grow forever. And then what ends up happening is now you're going to have so much, you're going to have way more assets than what you make in a year. Right? I'm sure your assets are more than your annual salary. Now imagine if Bitcoin has 100% year.
Exactly. Just
Come
double,
on, bro.
Just that simple. And I would even say, like, with that, like the chart that you're showing, the Bitcoin standard savings chart, it being that big of your chunk, it allows you to kind of like go out in the world and do shit. Like you can like travel where you want to go, because not necessarily like you have your stockpile, you're saving your rocket ship savings. And you're like, okay, well, I can go, let's go here. All right. You just, I may not buy as much Bitcoin this month because I'm going to go here, but I have my stockpile here that's still growing.
I said that on one of those Bitcoin podcasts. I said I used to wake up and check the stock charts because I was trading, and now I wake up and go water my grass. Wake up and go play basketball, because it's easy. It's brainless. Like, you get paid, you buy Bitcoin. That's it, bro. And then it makes you even think too. Like, okay, back when I was trading, even though I was a good trader, you can't outperform Bitcoin. So therefore, all the times you spend on the chart, it's fucking useless. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing like we say about SPY. You can't outperform SPY. Just buy SPY. You can't outperform Bitcoin. Just buy Bitcoin. So
because it's not a fancy way. That's what people.
I think people want to have that big short moment where they're like looking into this thing. Oh, I see something that nobody else sees. It's this company, and it's really gonna be the next Tesla. Bro, just buy Tesla.
Exactly.
You gonna gamble that this company's gonna be the next Tesla? Like, imagine gambling on a company you think would be the next Apple, but Apple itself isn't done growing. So then when this company goes out of business, you're like, bro, you realize your wealth would have grew in Apple, right? So I think people want to look but they're not really actually willing to do the work like Michael Berry was. So if y'all remember in The Big Short, when bro was checking on all those mortgages, you would get a file that says, all right, here's an asset that has 30,000 mortgages in them, and then bro opened each one up to see how delinquent they were. That's how he realized that the housing market was about to collapse, because everybody was behind. Nobody else did that type of work, right? So people want to like act like they're Wade Possible from Kim Possible, and nigga, you're not working like that, bro. You're not, bro. You're not working like that, bro.
Wake up and just read some blog you see, and like, this is
like, bro, hey, be for real, bro. Like, because think about it, whoever told you that in that blog, nigga, if they knew what the next big thing was, they wouldn't be working for that company. You know what I'm saying? So like, we got to start being realistic. We have an easy layup. We have the layup with Bitcoin. To overlook that is to say that you want less money. Not only do you want less money, you want less time to yourself.
Because my life now is just so easy going. Like,
and the crazy part is, we're not saying that because we're in a bull run. Because when we were in the bear market, I was doing, you vouch for me. When the market was getting cooked, what was I doing? The same exact thing. But it's even better in the bear market because you can buy more Bitcoin for the same amount of money, right? Like, think about it. Y'all think I would rather wake up and buy a $15,000 Bitcoin or buy an $88,000 Bitcoin? Give me the 15K Bitcoin, because on a long enough scale, I know where we're going. You know what I'm saying? So you provide value to the world, right? So y'all know the old saying was get money by income, right? You provide value to the world. That's how you get money. Whether you're the garbage man, whether you have a clothing brand, whether you're a plumber, a lawyer, whether you do taxes, you do hair, however you get your money, you trade, whatever. Get your money, how you get your money, buy income, which would be you buying Bitcoin now, right? So, bro, you got a job, right? You're a member of an organization. The organization sells this. Your role is to help with this, this, and that.
Yeah.
Do that to your best ability so you stay employed. And then you get paid and you buy Bitcoin. This shit's simple.
Yeah.
This shit's simple.
But people be thinking like we're saying, okay, don't do this way to make money. Don't flip real estate. Don't trade at all.
Don't do anything, just buy Bitcoin. Like, nigga, where's the money gonna come from?
Exactly.
Right? Get your money however you get your money, dog. And then just buy Bitcoin. And that's as simple as it gets. So where you get your money from, provide value to the world. That's up to y'all.
Yep.
Where you store your money, we're advocating for Bitcoin, but we're not trying to convince you, though. We just telling you what we doing.
Yeah, exactly. Because to be honest, I don't care if you buy Bitcoin or not.
Yeah, I don't care. We're going to do numbers. We did the knowledge. We're going to do numbers. But I would like for other people to, like, come along on this journey. Because a lot of y'all who DM me, like, hey, bro, thanks to you, I got 1 Bitcoin. Like, so far, the most I've seen is somebody bought 12 Bitcoin with me down at 17,000.
Nah, that's
so
crazy.
That
shout out whoever that was.
Yeah. So the most I've seen is somebody went up 12 Bitcoin off of the knowledge. So you got to think 12 Bitcoin's $1 million, right? So that would be millionaire number 13 that I've created.
That's crazy. How many niggas can say that?
But what's crazy is, do you remember like a few months ago when I kept posting, everybody on my story was DMing me? I think Bitcoin had hit 100 grand. There's hundreds of people in the Wealth Squad that got to 1 Bitcoin. So if you think about that, you just led hundreds, if not maybe about 2,000 people to at least 6 figures.
Yep. Yeah, I'll never see it.
Straightforward, bro. It's straightforward.
Because what's crazy, when we first met, I remember you were telling me, like, yeah, you need to get to that, like, 6-figure number, 100 or whatever, right? And in my mind, I'm like, man, like, it would take years of, like, rigorous saving, trying to start this method, trying to do this, trying to do that. It's just like, hey, buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, because you know what? This is how people think about it. Let's say somebody's able to save $1,000, right? You bust your ass all week, respect to you, you hustling, you grinding, and you're able to save $1,000, right? So when somebody goes, hey, you need to get to 6 figures, what you automatically think is, I can only save $1,000 a month, but I need this times 100. It's going to take me 100 months.
Yep.
But if you're saving your money in an asset that's growing, you're like, bro, you save. So we're about to be on our third 100% year. You save $1,000 a month for 12 months, and then that doubles from the market. But you still put another 1,000 in. So far, at the start of the start of the second year, you've put 12,000 in, and your 12,000 has grown 12,000. You're already a fourth of the way there in 1 year.
Yeah, literally.
And you thought it was going to take you 100 months. So then the second year, you put another 12,000 in. So now you're at 36, right? You had 36,000, but then you had 100% return from Bitcoin, right? So your 24,000 basically becomes 48,000. So in 2 years, you go from I can only save 1,000 a month to you're halfway there in 24 months. You thought it was going to take you 100. And then if you were to have a third 100% year, your 48,000 becomes nearly $100,000.
On top of the 12 you're adding.
On top of the 12 you're adding, you just got to 100 bands in 3 years. You thought it was going to take you 100 months.
Yeah.
We could just sped up the process by a third of the time.
That shit's crazy.
Right? You got anything else? The main thing is we're going to show our buy, so we keep this in the front of y'all minds.
I'll just say, hey, don't just look at the numbers we're talking about from, different walks of life, different ages, but it could be for anybody, even if you're, working Amazon, if you're working fast food, if you work corporate, it doesn't really matter. If you have kids, you got wife you got to take care of, like, take what you can budget, and you got to, really set a plan for yourself and really, okay, I can cut back. Maybe you smoke cigarettes, maybe you drink a lot of alcohol. Like, let me cut back on the alcohol. Maybe I like going on these random golf trips. Like, let me take half of the trips that you
Lock
see.
in.
Yeah, like
Lock in.
you gotta find where you can
Yeah.
save money to put that
Lock in
Bitcoin
for
in. 'Cause
sure.
a lot of people have an excuse like, man, I got a wife, I got 4 kids, like, and
You're not getting nowhere without sacrifice, bro.
yep.
You gotta sacrifice something. So, yeah, the main thing is we want you guys to see the new paradigm of how you manage money, where Bitcoin is the savings account, a savings account that actually grows, right? And if something can't beat that, don't touch it.
Yeah, that's no point. Yeah, I don't care what these financial advisors.
I don't care what nobody,
talk
yeah,
about. Like,
nobody
hey,
talking about.
tell your financial advisor price that shit in Bitcoin and let you know what that chart looking like.
Tell your financial advisor, watch this bit by bit episode 7.
Yup.
Y'all, so if y'all made it through to the end,
What?
what should they say? Look, Bitcoin is my savings account. There we go.
Yeah, Bitcoin is my savings account.
Bitcoin is my savings account. All right. So that should be. I hope that was a good rundown, right? I hope y'all see things. We're trying to help you guys see things like not only how does this stuff work, but what type of strategies can I implement in my life to tap into what Chris and OJ talking about, man. So we out, y'all. I'm Chris. That's OJ. Bit by bit, episode 7. If you got to the end of the episode, put Bitcoin as my savings account. We out. All right, so we're going to talk about the concept of saving money in the first place. So this is where everybody goes wrong. So this is just any amount of money over here, right? So you can go 10K, 25, 50, 100, 250, 500, right? So this is what happens. This is basically how most people operate. So and this flat line is broke. So what they do is they get some money, they spend it, return to broke. Get money, spend it, return to broke. Some people have good years, then they return to broke, right? And they just living their life, return to broke, return to broke, return to broke, right? This is how most people live. Everything is returning to zero, returning to zero, returning to zero. Now, some people even live like this, where they can make a bunch of money, but over a long enough time, they'll eventually return to zero, or you can go past zero. So how do you go past zero? Obviously, you borrow money, right? So this is basically how I want you to think about it. All right, so instead of the return to zero method, this is how you build a nest egg for yourself, right? So you get some money and then you put away some. So you never return all the way back to zero, right? You put some away. Then you get some money and then you put some away, right? And notice every time it's a little bit higher. Then you get some more money, then you put some away. So you're building this buffer here, right? And then you get some more money, put some away, right? Get some money, maybe something happens where you come down here, right? So you have to kind of dip into your savings or whatnot. And then you get some money and then you have you come up here. And then, so this could be saving or investing, but for the sake of this video, we're talking about saving money, but specifically saving the money in Bitcoin. And then what you do is you have a really good month or a really good year, and then you come all the way up here. So a portion of everything that you make is yours to keep. So you have to create this buffer that prevents you from being broke, right? So as you let this play out and you're building up this nest egg right? As you let this play out, what eventually happens, especially when you're saving in Bitcoin, is this solid line is your labor, right? So what ends up happening is this money right here is the money that you have saved. This is the money you have saved, right? This money itself starts growing as well, right? So when I show you my Swan account and you see $2,000 goes to $10,000, that's the savings itself growing, right? So your savings is growing and you have your active income, which you're working for. Okay, so then when it's time to spend and pay bills, and then you stop here, right? And then this kind of just stops over here, right? And then this keeps going, right? Bitcoin goes sideways, goes up, goes down, goes sideways, goes up, goes down, but overall it's going up, right? So you have this thing right here playing out, which is your savings account growing. So as you do this, you make some money, but you need to save some, especially in Bitcoin. Okay, now Bitcoin's at a lower price. You make some money, you save some in Bitcoin. Boom. Make some money, you save some in Bitcoin. And this second line, this is your savings account growing. So you do this year over year, month over month, and look what's happening. You're creating this buffer where you stop going back to zero, you stop returning to broke. So in the first example where everyone is up and then right back to zero, people are very comfortable with that. So they'll say, hey, I'm broke. What does broke mean? That means they're here. But if you live this way, you pay your bills and then you know you're going to save 30% of your income. If I tell my friends or my family, like, yo, I got to chill, I can't do nothing this weekend, I can't travel, I can't do this, I'm broke. It doesn't mean I'm broke here. It means I'm broke here because this saving money is my obligation. I have the obligation to myself, to my goals, and to my family, right? You have to put your money away. Now, when you're putting your money away into an asset like Bitcoin that's growing, what happens is you have money from way back here that's growing. So as you do your active income thing, you have your savings account that's growing. You know how much easier life would be if your savings account is growing as you keep making money and putting away, keep making money, putting away. That's the whole concept. We're going to avoid returning back to zero, and we're going to save our money in Bitcoin.